Sorry. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the open meeting, regular open meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation, Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. It's 9:30 a.m. and we're in the boardroom. And this is a virtual meeting. So we do have Zoom working correctly. Okay, good. And we are in Laguna Woods Village Community Center, and this is the notice of the meeting and the agenda. So first I'm going to call the meeting to order and establish a quorum, which we definitely have today. So thank you to all of our board members. Next is Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd like to ask Director Tuning, Tom, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Just a reminder, tomorrow is Flag Day, the 246th anniversary of our flag.
Yeah, very good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, is there a media here today? I guess not. Okay. First item is the approval, or next item is the approval of the agenda. Do I have any motion to approve the agenda? Okay, first and seconded by Maggie. Okay. And approval of the meeting minutes. Any changes to any of the meeting minutes for March 29th, April 6th, May 9th, May 25th, or the other one on May 25th? Any, or do I have a motion to approve the minutes as they are written?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Okay, so the approval of the minutes are done. Okay, now I'd like to make a report from the chair. And upcoming, I want to emphasize that we have an open forum coming, and I'll explain that forum. But I want to keep the protocol at our meetings to not having attacks on people, not naming names when you get the chance to talk before us. And if I hear any of that, or if I hear any loud screaming or anything like that, you're going to be stopped. And because I want to keep civil protocol and keep it professional, and whether that be a board member or our members in the audience, I just want to make that reminder. And I wanted to talk about two other things specifically. One of the things I recently attended was a meeting. I think Pearl, one of our directors, is involved in this, called Building Bridges. Is that the right name, Building Bridges, or Building Community Bridges?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was at a meeting, and I was very, very heartened at the meeting. About 2 weeks ago, this Building Communities or Building Bridges?
Community bridge builders.
Building Community Bridges.
No, community bridge builders.
Community Bridge Builders. I'll get it
No,
right.
CCB.
Okay. And at this meeting, about 2 weeks ago, there was a speaker there, and he was a pretty amazing speaker because he was into the neo-Nazi movement. And I don't know, I know Eric was there at the meeting, and I know there were some of you members there, and he was in there for 20 years, and he discussed his movement from hate to love over 20 years, and how he came out of the movement. And it was just an amazing speech to me. It got me thinking about how we can echo some of those remarks in our community, because our community takes up or has quite a few different communities from all different countries in the world. We have different religions, different races, different nationalities, and we all live together, 18,000 of us. And we have to live together and be close together, and most of us do. Most of us don't contain hostility to others, but some of us do, and we have to try to get away from that as much as possible. And I thought it's a great organization, and I would definitely suggest that you that would like to find out more about it do so, because it's probably in the newspapers, in the Globe, and it's a registered club now, and so I would definitely take a look at that. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was there was a recent article in the Village Breeze, and I wanted to correct it. It was sent in by one of our directors. I won't mention names, but in the article, it talked about one of our ad hoc committees that's working on a loan program for our community. And let me kind of just briefly walk you through what's happened over the last 6 months or a year. But about a year ago, National Co-op Bank, which is the only bank that provided loans to our community, stopped loaning to our community. And that was because we reduced property insurance because of the ever-increasing cost of the fires causing higher property insurance. And we reduced our property insurance to about $225 million a year. As a result, NCB stopped giving us loans because they couldn't continue to get the support of the federal government to support those loans. And so that being said, our insurance rates went down to about $1 million a year. In the last 2 years, they've increased to $3 million a year, even at the lower rates of $225 million. And that's because of the ever-increasing cost of fire insurance. So we decided to set up an ad hoc committee. It's chaired by Azar Asghari. She's been working very hard to see if we can get private loans to supply private money into our community. In the article that was written, it was inferred that we would use reserves to finance the loans. That's not true. What we're looking to do is get private investors to submit private loans, private money. And right now, Azar has gone through with the committee and looked at the documents that are needed to get approval by our attorney for the loan documents. And he's now reviewing those documents, and if everything goes right, we'll be submitting the policy to the board to get loans back into our community again, private loans. And we're looking forward to trying to get that to happen in the next several months. And if we're successful, that'll be a great advantage for our members, because right now, you guys can't refinance your loans. And so a lot of you have debts that you'd like to pay off, and you can't do that right now. By doing this, you'll be able to pool money out of your co-ops, and you'll be able to get necessary money as you need them. Plus, I think it will help with selling more properties in our co-ops. And so all of that will be a win-win for all of us. So I just wanted to correct the record and explain that particular opportunity. We're getting close, and we'll be letting you know when we're there, because we'll be taking a vote here pretty soon. So those are the few things that I wanted to mention. So let's go to the next section, open forum. Let's have members come up, and member no attacks. And at this time, I'll read the statement. At this time, members only may address the board of directors regarding items not on the agenda, and within the jurisdiction of the board of directors, the board reserves the right to limit the total amount of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time To other people, no audio or video recording by attendees, no rude, threatening comments. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom. And again, if you do attack or name names, I'm going to stop you right in your place. So with that, please, let's go ahead.
The first speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here with an update of the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial emergency. New fall prevention program. Don't become a statistic. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, every second of every day, an older adult suffers a fall in the United States. Falls in Laguna Woods are particularly commonplace. Falls are the biggest reason why EMTs are called, and a recent review of ambulance calls to the Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center revealed that approximately half of the ambulance runs were due to falls. But while commonplace, falls can result in serious harm, both medically and financially. Falls are the key cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of hospital admissions among older adults. Beginning this July, to ensure residents don't become a statistic, the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village is partnering with Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center to provide fall prevention classes free of charge right here in the village at Clubhouse 2, with medical center staff leading the sessions. The sessions will focus on different aspects of fall prevention, incorporating chair exercises, stretches, and strengthening to help improve strength and stability. The program will be offered as one-month segments with 3 one-hour sessions in each month. So on Wednesdays from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. in each of the following months, July, August, and September. Residents can register for a single month session, and registration can be done on ActiveNet. Registration for the July 5th, 12th, and 19th programs have begun. That will happen on July 1st, and space is limited. Workout clothes and tennis shoes are recommended. If you have any questions, please contact the Foundation at 949-268-2246 or thefoundation@comline.com. And for more information about the Foundation, please go to our website at thefoundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Also, please note that donations can always be made using PayPal on our Foundation website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Joe Morris.
I'm Joe Morris, 175Q. My concern is the crosswalk at the corner of Villa Estrada and Majorca. I've gone to 3 different meetings, town hall meeting, brought this up. I also went to an MSC meeting. It was told to go to the mobility meeting. I went to that one. Everybody was concerned and was really interested, and they said they'd get back to me. It's been 6 months, and I haven't heard a phone call from anyone. Recently, I was over in Hawaii just a few weeks ago, and there was an incident where in Kapaa, which is Kauai, they have these 2 intersections where they have, not intersections, but crosswalks, and they had installed these where you press a button and these lights flash on top of the poles and indicates that there's a crossing of a pedestrian, which wasn't there last year because I go every year. So I asked one of the locals, I go, hey, what happened? How did this, all of a sudden, we get these crossing area taken care of? They said, well, it was 2 people getting hit and passed away, that it took the city of Kauai to get this installed. So my suggestion is that we need to slow down the traffic that's coming in through Gate 2. They're not stopping. I was there just this last week in the intersection again, in the crosswalk. People are not stopping. One side stops, the other side doesn't. 3 or 4 cars go through. We need to slow them down, either install some type of a lighting system there, not a stop sign, but something that indicates. And in Hawaii, they have a sign right next to that saying, "It's the law, you must stop." So whatever we can do, and as the boards here, you guys can maybe get back to me, somebody, CEO, or I don't care, someone. 6 months, I think, has been adequate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Mary Joyce. Oh, I'm sorry, we'll hold off.
Eric,
Good morning, President Ross and members.
good morning.
I want you to know that I know some of the confusion is because how we actually get crosswalks in place throughout the whole, our whole complex on property. And there's a matter of actually putting them in and who does that. So I imagine some of the frustration was because they were sending folks around that actually do the work, and then who actually decides where these things go. And part of that is because our SCAC meeting is usually where that happens, where someone will come up with a safety concern for the community, and whatever that concern is. And this one particular is specifically is on traffic. And then we would either provide it as a staff report or an agenda item for discussion. I can tell you that just yesterday we had this discussion at our executive staff meeting on who and how we're going to get this handled. And I had told the CEO that I would go ahead and present this at the end of the month to on the 28th is when we have our next SCAC meeting, and provide them with some of the things and the topics that were brought up as some of the solutions, as well as even possibly having a traffic engineer look at the situation so that that consultant can give us maybe even some better ideas on how to target harden, if you will, make safer that location. Because we do have, and I don't know what the number is, but we do have a number of what we call mid-block crosswalks where they're not associated with necessarily corners. And they're inherently not safe because there's no real break, like natural break in traffic as a result, or people looking for cross traffic. And so how do we deal with those things? In most cities, they've actually eliminated a lot of mid-block crosswalks because of the kinds of hazards, because even though flashing lights are good and even signage, it creates kind of a false sense of security that cars are going to stop once they see those lights flashing in the roadway. And we know that there have been people that have been unfortunately hit and killed in other areas, not our location and our property, but that were actually in crosswalks that were actually monitored by street lights sometimes, and some of those that we see are the flashing lights. But I think having a professional actually assist us with looking at this item is the best way to go, and then doing something, taking their information that they provide us and moving forward with that to try to make that as safe as possible.
I just like to make a comment. You know, that corner is the only way to get to another sidewalk, because at Majorca it ends.
Yeah, there's
And-
no sidewalk on the,
No sidewalk when you turn
Right.
left, you know, so you have to cross. And you can't cross on the other side, because I think that's even more dangerous. So where that crosswalk is what people use.
Right.
And so I would say it should not be eliminated, but there is that, the people that are coming to go through Gate 2 don't have a stop sign when they're coming down Estrada. And so then they just go straight across. And then on the other side, when you're coming in Gate 2, they have their own lane to go straight, but they don't have to stop. So it definitely would take a good study that I think should be done soon, and especially for visually impaired people, it's very difficult to get across that, you know, so that's what I think.
Let's wait to all the speakers, and then we'll make our comments. How's that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mary Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Mary Joyce Domingo, and I'd just like to raise this concern. For almost like 4 months now, we had been receiving...
What is the manual number? Sorry. it's not-
2019A. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
We've been receiving foreclosure of our property. Now, this foreclosure yesterday is again related to another mail I received yesterday. It is addressed to United Laguna Hills Mutual. There is no name like Mary Joyce Domingo, Carmelito Domingo. No. It says 2019 Via Mariposa West, A, Laguna Woods. So my only concern here is this. I'm 71 years old. My husband is 80. They had been continuously sending from different entities. One is Legal Aid of California. They had been sending us, I think, about 8 foreclosure notes. So when I went to our resident services here, the only answer was, it's a scam. Ignore. Second time, scam. It's a snore. Yesterday, I went here. Oh, you can raise this to the board meeting today. So I said, I will take this opportunity to make you aware. One of the residents of Laguna Woods, has been receiving this. My question is this. Are any of the residents had been receiving this? What are the things that we can do about this? I'm 71. There might be neighbors of mine, 101. And it's a scam. And they would say, oh, it's a zero out-of-pocket expense, wrongful foreclosure, legal representation. So I called. I called yesterday. There was a Homer who answered my call. Good enough. But I told him, I'm going to report this mail that you sent to me to the proper authorities. Because people at the resident services are saying, we are not United Laguna Hills Mutual. So where are we at this point? Because I am representing myself. I still have my sharp mind to take action. But what about those who are my neighbors, 101, 105? I don't know what to say, but this is so concerning. At the same time, all of you would say, oh, ignore it. But this is like what? Every day I have mails like this from different entities. So that's my main concern. And I hope you can help us, over 71 years old, to just, what would Laguna Woods Village Board say about this? What's your take on this? Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Larry Irion.
Good morning, Larry Urian, 682O. I'm here to address a resolution that was passed by the board in 2018. It's resolution number 01-18-33, which regards and controls the reimbursement of electricity used during the dry out process of roof leaks. And this policy was changed in 2018 by the board. The previous policy that was resolution number 01-10-268 that was passed in 2010 used the actual usage of the equipment to do the dry out and the usage of that equipment and the amount of electricity used. And this made a lot of sense to me. But then the board in 2018 decided that for whatever reason, I have no idea, that they changed it and made this new resolution which established a fixed rate of $32 for reimbursement. Now, I had a roof leak and I had our electric bill in January. I have the bill here, and which they never wanted to see, by the way, which I offered to give them the bill, but they never wanted to see this. My electric bill of a very high usage in January, cold month, $95.66. After the dry out was done, which we had fans going 24/7 for about 3 weeks, my February bill shows $182.64. Now that's a change of $96.98. And yet, last Friday, I finally received a check for $32. Now, what I would request is that this board readdress this policy, pass a new resolution that is more equitable to everyone, and make it retroactive to January 1 so that the people that have been affected by it this year would be reimbursed on an equitable basis, not a fixed rate of $32, which seems ridiculous to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Elizabeth Romano.
Thank you. I'm here again to follow up with the lack of response to the retaliation and harassment that I experienced. There was a large policy written on the board's responsibility, and my responsibility, I sent in my fact situation, and I still have not heard from them. And this is outside of what's okay. Actually, the retaliation and harassment was so bad that you needed to put a policy there to stop, like the head of security would come and do this to me at night, okay? So he would wake me up. Okay, that was directed by somebody, okay? And, you know, that's very frightening, and that's not acceptable to use the security in that kind of manner. I'm also wanting to follow up on the forensic audit that we've been asking for. There was a missing $1,200,000 and some $1,000. We have asked for a regular audit. We have asked for a forensic audit. And a forensic audit will trace that money back to where it is missing. I'm one of the 7,000 people who can't sell my house. Okay, the price of my house is impacted by that. The price of what I can get for it, you know, is impacted. And I wanted to leave a long time ago. So now my damages include having to pay, instead of a 3% interest, 7% for another loan. You know, it isn't okay. So I'm really asking you guys really to follow up on what you need to do on the harassment policy and get back to me and follow up on trace that money, please. And NCB told me that the money was embezzled and that it's missing. And so some of you have received information that I did some research to try and find out, where it goes. I want to sell my house, okay? I don't want the value down. So I thank you for your time and effort.
Thank
you. Next speaker is Robert Reyes.
Good morning, neighbors. I'm Robert Reyes at 327A. I've lived here 10 years, and they've been the best years of my life. I'm third-generation villager, so I have history here. And I would live between gate 1 and 3, and every morning I take a walk along the creek, Serpentine Trail, or the walk, and the Friendship Walk. I'm a docent. I represent the community, which is an amazing place. I love this place. I wanted to take the time to tell you that I'm celebrating 1 year of being retired and of attending the meetings here. I've committed to attend the GRF, the VMS, and any other meeting possible, because being informed causes you to know the truth. And I'm here to tell you how impressed I am and how grateful I am for everything that you've done for this wonderful community. VMS, you've done a great job. You're not a monster. No one is stealing any money. It's tough. You're doing a great job. We're talking about 55-year-olds to 105. So you have your hands full, and I just want to encourage you to continue doing the job that you're doing. That makes me so happy to live in such a wonderful place. And because I attend the meetings, I know that you're good people. I disagree with some things, and you allow me to express myself. But at the end, you're not monsters. You are me and you. We are in this together. We're self-governed, and we're not stealing from each other. And our goal is to continue this stretch of success that almost has been, 60 years? The founding directors did such a good job to have, 3, 4 mutuals and the VMS working together to create a first-class resort living and shared on a shared budget. What an amazing place. And we have a great history in Southern California. So God bless you and thank you so much.
Okay, our last speaker is Grace Stencil.
Good morning, Board. I'm Grace Stencil, 806A. I wasn't prepared to come here and speak today, but I was encouraged by one of your board members. I'm here because of the lighting on the walkway that is not my walkway, but the walkway across the green area from another building. I believe it's cul-de-sac 9-2. But along Los Altos, going on the south side of Los Altos, going along that area and the walkways, those lights, by the way, I've been complaining about this for 3 years. The lights remain on. Right now, my lights go off at just before 6 o'clock in the morning. Their lights are on at 9 o'clock. So that's 3 hours right there. Then in the evening or late afternoon, their lights go on at 5 o'clock. My lights go on at 7. So we're talking a lot of hours. And my HOA rates keep going up, and I understand that. But the waste, and I have complained about this before. I've complained to the advisory committee, and they've been trying to help, but nothing's changed. Even, I'm not sure how they're regulated as far as the lights going on and off, but sometimes the lights across the way are on 24 hours. Now that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I know it's not your fault, but something really needs to be done with this. And that is not the only place that the lights are on. It's other areas, but I'm right there and I see it, so I'm paying more attention to that area. But something needs to be done, and I wish you could tell me how those lights are controlled, because they're all over the place. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
What was your manor? Excuse me?
Mine is 806A, but when I look across the green area, the building or the manor is 795, so I'm not sure about the cul-de-sac, but I think it's 92 along Los Altos. Thank you.
Any others? That's it? Okay, comments back to the open forum, response to the open forum. So who would like to start? Maggie?
I have a few, but I think staff can also speak first, shouldn't they?
About what? Which subject?
If you want me to go first.
Yeah, go ahead, you go.
Okay, Mary Joyce, 2019A. Yes, the Secretary of State is the one to whom you send this information, or give him a call, or give him an email. The Secretary of State of the state of California. They handle all this kind of stuff. If you get things that you should not be getting, and you don't know how to control it, and if you get emails and things like that, the Secretary of State is the one that handles all these things. So I will send you a card or tell you, just Secretary of State of California. If you go online, you'll find it, and you say, I'm reporting a scam, a potential scam, and they will take your information. Okay.
Can I add to that? I have spoken to NCB, Mr. Ross, and they saw my record, and I'm in good standing. At the same token, I asked another question. One of those foreclosure letters or text messages to my husband, myself.
Oh my goodness.
These people, they have access, Miss Maggie Backwell, they have records of public information about our properties in Laguna Woods, per se. I mean, maybe they have all the public records of all homeowners in the whole of California. So that being said, I tried to ask from NCB again, no, you're in good credit standing.
Right.
And that's a very good statement from him, from the NCB, Mr. Ross.
Right, but, okay, if you report it to the Secretary of State, that's good. We cannot really follow up on this ourselves. All we can do, we will start publicizing more against scams.
Yes.
Okay, so we
Yes.
will put some more articles in the Breeze and in the paper, so that people, this is a very nasty one. This is
Yes.
dangerous. This
Yes.
is always dangerous. Unfortunately, in the past, some of the membership lists have gotten into the wrong hands, and that's been true for 20 years. Every now and then, somebody gets a membership list for a real purpose, and then they hand it to their brother-in-law who's in plumbing or something like that, and all of a sudden, we all get ads for plumbing and calls and things. But this is our information is private. We don't publish our lists anywhere, but once they have ways of getting information, and all you have to do is just be very, very careful. The Secretary of State is the one to whom you should report this, and we will start putting more information. We always do in the Breeze, and we'll put some more about this, because this is very specific. This is very dangerous.
And I'd like to
Thank you.
add to that too, is that, excuse me, one meeting. Okay, so I'm talking now. So in addition to Secretary of State, I'm going to look into the Department of Fair Housing, and I think there's, because they're in charge of making sure that loan companies don't discriminate, treat people unfairly, create scams and so forth. So I'm going to try to find who the right contact is within the Department of Fair Housing for you to send your letter to, because this should not be occurring. And if it's a scam, we're going to have to address it and have people send letters to this person. But I need to find out exactly who to send to.
Yeah, Mr. Ross. In addition, we have been receiving text messages from different entities. And this yesterday was something, again, very different. Sir, there must be about 4 or 5 different entities and telling us, we will save you the trouble of blah, blah, blah. But again, I said, each time I get this, I call to resident services, and very timely, today is the right moment for me. And thank you so much for, taking time to really think about what can be done. I mean, as I've said, 105 receiving this, text messages. This
can
is
we
something that
wrap
we
it up?
really have to address.
Is
Thank
there
you
any
so much.
reference to any of the letters to NCB in the letters, or no? There's no
Nothing
reference
from
to
NCB, but I spoke to NCB
She
last
didn't
week
say NCB.
just to make sure where is this coming from.
Right.
And
They're
they gave
scams.
me the statement. Your credit standing is.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak to?
Yes, I wanted to say that one more time, one of our director, Maggie, said something that is not correct, and I don't want residents be upset. No one, including directors, get the list of the address of all of the members. So yes, we for advertising or campaigning we got email list, but not your address with the name. So I want to make sure that it's not that every plumber or something get your address and sending this one. That is not correct, and you are safe. But a scam, my dear, is everywhere. So you have, if you get at this one, yes, I understand you can, but we receive with the technology and all of these text message. I personally receive 4 or 5 in a day because I'm working in different places. What you can do, just learn how to block them, and they are not coming. Many of them is not even from USA. Many
Yeah.
of them, they convicted and find it in the other country that they are sending to you. So they somehow find your name or somehow my first name. They don't know my last name. They by my first name. So you are able to block them from the phone right away.
Yeah, I did.
And then block them from the email list right away. And by email, you can report it the junk. And this one, as she said, that Secretary of State is a good place to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can, I think property insurance records are public records, and sometimes they can go to property records and get information as well. So, it's really, really hard. It's more of an educational effort to tell people not to be scared when you get these, that it is just trash. It's just scary trash. So, I know in several of the emails we've published, we've tried to let people know about the scams that are occurring. And one of the things that I had a neighbor this happened to, and she was so upset. They had stolen her mail, and of course they washed the checks and then reused them. And so that went out, and again as a reminder, just to probably take your mail with checks to the post office for greater safety. So it is really unfortunate, but I think Maggie had a good suggestion about the Secretary of State. That's where they normally do go. But whether or not they can control it, I don't know. But at least they have record and they can try.
The other department is the California Department of Justice. They handle scams and things like that, so you report the company if you have a name or anything that, get that information to them.
Yes, I know. I hear you, but the danger here is they're using United Laguna, not Laguna Woods, but United Laguna Hills. I gave it to Eric Mutual. So people at your resident services would just say when they read that we're not that entity, but then
But you could just report the fraud. Report the fraud that you're being.
I think this is the fourth times coming to your.
Yeah, we can't do anything, but the Department of Justice or the California Secretary of State could help you with that. I've dealt with them before.
Yeah, thank you so much for your leads.
Yes, I had to say that, let's see, Security and Access Committee, as Eric Nunez said, for Joe Morris, will discuss that matter on June 28th. Okay, and he's right there with you, so that's okay. Let's see. The electricity reimbursement should go to M&C. So when the next M&C meeting is, and we'll announce that, I guess, soon, the next M&C meeting will handle the electricity and see what's going on with the walkway electricity. So you would take that to M&C. The gates, of course, will be security access, okay, and anything else. Let's see. The walkway lighting, that's the one that goes on sometimes 24th. That's M&C, okay, and that's it.
What is MNC?
Maintenance and construction.
I have a comment to Mr. Robert Reyes. Thank you for all your positive input. I just want you to know that in September, we'll have 4 openings coming up in directors' seats. They're up for re-election, and I would encourage you to consider to run for the seat. And also, whoever watching this program, I want everybody to know that we will have 4 open seats coming up this year, and we are always looking for some people with positive, good ideas to join us. Thank you.
We actually have 5 openings because we just had Mary Simon leave our team, And so there's actually 5 openings right now. So you're more than welcome to join in.
Are we waiting until the
No,
election?
No, that started already.
Thank you,
That
yes, I
process
thought
has
so.
started already.
Oh, I just had a comment for Chris Collins, or for her talk about falling. I mean, that is a serious thing, and just a reminder to everybody to hold on to the banister when you're going down the steps, because I broke my collarbone falling 11 steps. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a friend of mine who lives in our building, and he falls quite a bit, and I usually pick him up. But we found out over the weekend, since I need help picking him up, he's a big man, that now the EMTs, they have a special group of people to come out. They don't bring the fire engine out. And they came right away and made this man get upright. I couldn't do it by myself. So I was really impressed with that. They didn't bring out the emergency wagon or the truck and all that. Just 2 people came out and picked him right up. Thank you.
Can I? Yes, thank you, Chris, for information. I wanted just to make sure that everybody knows. Am I right that any donation is tax deductible? Is it correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. I wanted residents knows this is tax deductible if by chance there is advantage helping other people, and is at your advantage as well. So that's for her. And regarding to the lights and 2 other, I think if a resident make effort comes to the board, the good news is all of 11 that people that they are in other committees, they are sitting right here and we can hear you. So in that case, we shouldn't like shooting residents from one board to another board and go to another board. So we heard what you said. We have to write down, and then of course by next month you will receive a official response from. You can see the number A is respond right now, and number B is respond from the previous month from the staff. So it's not, to me, is a right to just like shooting residents to one committee to another committee. We can save a little bit gas not going there. So in that case, we have a responsibility to write down and follow up that one with our committee. Our committee and, of course, staff. I am sure Shiban is writing non-stop. I can see I am next to her. And every word that you are writing, she's typing or writing and get the note, and you will receive a response. Thank you so much.
Okay, I just have a few quick comments. So regarding the SCA meeting, that meeting is June, Security and Access Committee is what it's called. And that meeting is June 28th, right? And so that would be the time for, and that's an open meeting, isn't it? So that would be the time for Joe Morris to attend that meeting. And I'm hoping that we come up with a solution, because it is a dangerous intersection and needs to be corrected. And I hope we come up with a solution rather quickly too. And then the other comment regarding the lights on and off, that's a big issue, because there's a lot of lights that are on when they shouldn't be on, and they're on 24 hours. And it does cost our community quite a bit of money for excessive lighting, because electricity keeps going up and up and up. So we have to figure a way, and would the best place for that venue be maintenance and construction, do you think? Or what do you think, Shaban?
That is correct, but in this specific example, we'll pass it along to staff so they can troubleshoot and hopefully resolve immediately.
Okay, very good. Okay, and okay, I think that's all I had. Any other comments? Okay.
A resident wants to talk.
I'm sorry?
I'm seeing a hand.
Oh, go ahead.
Can you just, excuse me, does anyone know what controls those lights? Because Someone once told me that they were solar, which they are not. Another one told me that they're on timers, which apparently they're not. I don't know. Do you know how they're turned on and off?
We have a variety of systems, whether it's a photo cell, so when it gets dark, it turns on, whether it's a timer, it just depends on the location. So
Okay.
we'll, again, troubleshoot and see what's going on.
And I'm not required to go to the MNC. You guys are going to take care of it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
We may follow up with you if we have a question about
That's
location,
great.
though. Thank you.
And thank you. I think we need to save money, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next is response to past open forum speakers. So Director Lee, do you have that?
Okay, in May board meeting, Chris Collins from 3306Q had a foundation update, and Elizabeth Romano at 2035A, she talked about the isolation that the residents experienced due to the drop-in lounge not being open. She's also asking about the follow-up on the harassment she had experienced. Director Simon reiterated that the drop-in lounge is never closed in the last year and a half. The TV is always on, and the chairs are always on the patio. Per compliance and security, there is no open harassment case right now. Eric Nunez, director of the security, also talked and addressed the issue of isolation and suicide. He also mentioned that the social service department is working with other agencies to help to assist with these issues. Catherine Bryans, 392B, she introduced herself to the board as a United GRF candidate. Lastly, Maxine McIntosh, 68C, she thanked the board for the nice tribute given to the director Tibbetts. She also talked about how the residents in her buildings are happy being informed of projects and what the next step of the plan on their next step of plan on their buildings. Thank you.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Pearl. Okay, next is the VMS board update. Director Norm Kahn.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, directors and guests. I'm Norman Kahn, VMS Director representing United Mutual, and I'm here today to update everyone on VMS's board activities during the past 30 days and more. As you know, the primary function of VMS is to manage and oversee all of the services rendered to the village, which are rendered by our 750 paid employees and hundreds of volunteers. VMS has always been a 9-member business management board appointed equally by United Mutual, Third Mutual, and the Golden Rain Foundation, known as GRF. Of late, in addition to our normal management duties, we are actively involved with the 2024 budget and, importantly, with the ongoing negotiations with the local chapter of the Laborers International Union of North America, which represents over half of our employees, period. The current union contract expires in late November, and since VMS and our attorneys are only in the early stages of negotiations, no progress is reportable at this time, but stay tuned in. Moving back to the main event is the village budget for next year, which will affect all of us financially. The very high inflation rate of the last 2 years is a real battle we have to fight and win, as the end result will, of course, be reflected in not only our homeowners association dues, but increased costs in entertainment, club dues, event costs, and even the quality of some of our services. It's important to recognize the village is a service-based community, so virtually all of our 750 staff members provide service only. We, here in the village, we manufacture nothing. With that in mind, 60% of the entire village budget is spent on employee-related costs, including wages, benefits, and taxes, of course. That 60% reality does not allow VMS much wiggle room when over half of our employees are represented by a trade union. The VMS chairwoman, Rosemary DiLorenzo, working in conjunction with the presidents of United and Third Mutual, developed a serious cost-cutting program which has been put into effect. The program is to reduce expenses. Ms. DiLorenzo encouraged having each departmental staff director review and identify their vacant and filled positions. The purpose being to determine if by reallocating work duties, times of employment, use of some overtime, and even utilization of outside services, could unfilled openings be eliminated or reduced without sacrificing service to the village. That, of course, is the key. So there is currently an ongoing top-down review of staffing levels and services to streamline operations. All recommendations are submitted to VMS's CEO for further review and discussion subsequently with the village boards. Approved changes, of course, will be included in next year's budget. As an example, one already accepted and in-place idea is to hire 2 qualified part-time employees to fill certain full-time open positions. This has many advantages, of course, to VMS in areas of lower benefits and overtime costs, of course, as well as added backup for employee illness or vacation time. So as you can see, the entire VMS plate is quite full with exceptionally important 2024 issues. While all day-to-day operations and problems still require our ongoing attention, as always, VMS will do whatever it takes to reach our goals of great service to our incredible community. That's my report for today. Thank you, and of course I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Good report. Any questions?
May we get a copy of your report?
I wrote this personally, and it's only
Okay.
my opinions, so I would prefer not to have to give it out.
Okay, thank you very much. I thought it was good. I missed some of what you were saying, so I
I'll
wanted
be more than happy to discuss anything with you about it, but again, it's...
No problem. That's fine. Thank you.
Go ahead, Zara.
First of all, thank you so much for, I don't know, you write down all the part at the end was very interesting to see. And another things, very, very good idea to having 2 part-time because we're not related compensation as finance that I am seeing is a big, big number that we can cut back. Another things that I wanted to add to that, I have seen, especially when I am coming to the departments here, I can see some of them working until 7 o'clock, and they said because we can get 1 day off. Is the number, they said 96, is it correct, that word?
Some employees work what is called a 980 schedule. So they work
980
9 hours a day rather than 8 hours a day, and they're off 1 day out of the 10-day work period.
Yes,
So if they come in at 9 o'clock, they can work till 7 o'clock.
Yeah, Zara, you may be thinking of something else. There has been a change in certain hours. For example, in landscaping, they were beginning at 7:30, and someone came up with the idea to move it back to 7 o'clock in the morning because the half hour was being used just in waiting time, and now by backing it up, they were able to utilize the equipment earlier, something to that effect. Am I correct, Siobhan?
You are correct.
But my question was not that. If you let
Okay.
me finish it. My question, especially as Shivan is here, is I have been there around 5:36, and they are working very hard from morning. And almost the last 2 hours is, we are human beings, you're not robot. It's basically is not efficient as much as 8 o'clock in the morning. I am not saying I understand they needed 1 day off or something, but the problem, this efficiency that I am seeing, I have seen that majority, because I love coffee, sitting, standing, talking, especially if you go around 6:30, you can see a lot that they are tired because they are human beings, and we understand. So consider that one as an efficiency, not just per hour that I am taking that 9 hours I have been there, but is that 9 hours really proper and efficient or not? Just I am saying, I'm not
I
saying.
can give you another answer to that because now I understand your question better. Because we're so short-staffed, in many departments, we're working overtime. So
No, this is not overtime.
That makes an 8-hour day, a 9-hour day sometimes, in order to get work done. So there has been some of that.
I'm sorry, that's not overtime. Shiba knows.
Director Asghari, one thing that we do here is offer flexible work hours. So there are many employees, and I think those are the ones that you're referring to, who do not start until 9 o'clock in the morning. So when they're working till 6 or 7, that's just their normal workday, whereas we have other employees who start at 7 a.m. and they finish at 4:30 or 5. So it just depends on what time they start, and they have elected that schedule. It's not something we've prescribed. So that's what works best for them. So I think it's actually a productive schedule.
That's great. Just knowing 9 hours work, hard work, is for human body. We, as a human, is kind of hard. Not efficient, all of them. That's all I am saying. So, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question for you too. Question or two. So that idea of having 2 part-time to fill 1 full-time, that's a great idea, and that could save us money. We're also considering, we talked about this at our meeting yesterday, of maybe introducing a volunteer program in our community. And if we could develop a volunteer program, if it's handled right and managed correctly, we could help. We're not taking away anyone's job, but we would ask people from the community who would like to volunteer to help out in various departments of our community, of our organization. It could be licking envelopes. It could be helping out with the shrubs in our garden centers. Light work, and it's 2 to 3 hours a day, maybe a little longer. And so we're considering that idea. Now we're talking about that idea. And because there's a lot of good volunteers out there that are eager to help us in our community, and it's something that could help offset the additional expenses that we're looking at going forward in our various departments by having volunteers support their efforts. So I just wanted to make you aware that we're considering adopting something like that in the future.
Well, as a director, I would personally, be in favor of a program like that. The problem, of course, is just organizing it. That's always the problem with volunteers, as you know.
Right. And that would be important to get like a manager, paid manager, to handle the volunteers, And go ahead, Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a little bit of an issue with that because before Eric Nunez and before Rojas, we had the other chief of security, and he had a big problem with volunteers, particularly gate ambassadors who told him that they were residents and didn't have to take his orders. So if we're going to use residents, they have to understand that they're working under a work center, and they have to take orders as directed. Otherwise, I'd be against the program. Thank you.
Okay, and then the other thing, they would have to sign waivers that in case they get hurt or something, that we wouldn't be responsible, obviously. But I'm also interested in the review of the department by department that you said Rosemary is initiated with staff. And I'd like to see, as a result of that review, when it's completed, what the results were. If you could through staff, or, we could see the response that comes back, after it's completed?
Well, that's currently in work, so there's no final number. It's a process that we're working on.
Okay.
And as well as all the staff directors are working on, as well as the CEO. So, we're all on the same page on that one.
Lenny, the results to date, though, are reflected in your proposed 2024 budget.
Okay.
The reduction in staff years that we're funding. So
Okay.
that's the results to date.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Lazar.
Yes, that I understand is a big project that is good to see it and start this volunteer job. For example, during the tax, just imagine 6,323 letters supposed to mail. And what you needed, maybe just paper. Imagine just one letter be 1 minute. Somebody should put this one to the bank, put the stamp, and take it. And this is huge amount of the hours. And this, a volunteer with just training that put this one in this packet and put it package. I am talking about this stuff that we can save amazing hour from the staff. So there are many things. It's when it started and rolling, we are talking about very gentle, small things. No, we are not asking residents goes up the trees or something. We're not asking that one. We're saying and it's worth it. And every company has this one. Every state has this one. Please go to Google and type volunteer job in Orange County and see how many it comes. And they are using the residents of the city for that. We look like a city. We are at the size of a city. We can have a volunteer job and doing that one. If ambassador that they said they don't need to take as you said, all needs is training. Yesterday we had a meeting, and even a director says a union worker for a long time has been here. He said that is hard for us to train him because mentally he always did one thing and he doesn't want it to change it. I said, no, I have done this way and I wanted to do this way. Even the paid senior, we cannot change it. Some people are that, but one person should not dictate it for the whole community. So it's a good job, good idea. Please follow that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next is our CEO report. Siobhan, please.
Thank you, President Ross, honorable members of the board. This morning I want to share a presentation with you that introduces you to the recent Employee Excellence Award winners. The next time you see these employees, I encourage you to recognize them for their outstanding performance. The Employee Excellence Awards are presented in spring and fall. The awards highlight outstanding employees who demonstrate excellent customer service, achieve great results on projects, and regularly go above and beyond their regular job duties. These are professionals who serve residents, exceed service expectations, and make positive impact on the village living experience. The first two employees we recognized are Michaela and Paul in the CEO's office, and I'm fortunate to sit right next to them. Michaela and Paul, as you know, manage the village governance function with efficiency and expertise. They work flawlessly as a team to get the job done, no matter what challenges arise. Their flexibility, dependability, and positive attitude keep this critical function running smoothly. And again, I'm very appreciative of everything that they do for us. Mandy Webb was recognized in financial services. Mandy assists residents with delinquent assessments. For each resident, Mandy takes a personal interest in their specific situation, making sure a resident understands what is expected and make sure that each resident feels heard and respected throughout the process. Mandy has helped many residents bring accounts current while turning difficult situations into positive experiences. Mandy really has a gift working with people, and we're very appreciative of her efforts. General Services recognized John Sanchez, Transportation Coordinator. John is a great example to other transportation employees on what it means to be a team player. He's always considering what transportation needs to keep operations moving smoothly. He drives a fixed route bus when necessary. He fills in on weekends if a scheduler needs to take some time off, and he trains our new drivers. A team of employees were recognized in the Human Resources Department. Gabby, Nicole, and Marcy demonstrate outstanding performance and excellent customer service. Gabby showed great diligence in implementing the new employee health insurance program that you'll remember saved more than $500,000. Nicole provides excellence in obtaining candidates to fill positions in a timely manner. Marcy demonstrates excellence in managing the team in support of all of our employees and HR operations. The Information Services Department also recognized a team of outstanding employees. Timothy, Daniel, Joshua, and their manager, John, completed network installation for the new office suites within 3 weeks. This is where our employees moved out of Building E. They activated, tested, and had computer and phone ports ready for employees to connect in their new offices. They assembled, configured computers following the move to ensure network access and the availability of critical applications within just a few hours. So they really made this move go smoothly, and our thanks to them. Landscaping recognized Jose Vargas, foreman, and George Munoz, small equipment mechanic. Jose is a 24-year employee who runs one of the most efficient crews. He has outstanding rapport with residents, and his detailed tracking of events is always on time and flawless. George was proactive in streamlining the small equipment inventory process and is securing quotes on the required electrical equipment and securing AQMD rebates for the same. Lori Chavarria was recognized by Maintenance and Construction. Lori has a great commitment to providing excellent customer service. She prepares the annual budget, tracks expenditures, and trains new employees on the budgeting system. Lori has taken on new responsibilities, including evaluating and assessing responsibility for reimbursements, and is the point of contact on issues elevated to board members and the CEO's office. Mark Weiss was recognized by Media and Communications. Mark makes sure Village Television is operating at full efficiency. He directs and edits This Day and troubleshoots technical issues as they arise. Mark's efforts are critical in providing residents with entertaining movies, board meeting coverage, the This Day program, and a multitude of programs broadcast on the channel. Recreation recognized 3 employees. Gail Ford, golf shop coordinator, for her dedication to customer service and amazing organizational skills, which enhance both golf and, most recently, the garden center operations. Renee Anderson is a coordinator at the Performing Arts Center. She kept the PAC running while her supervisor departed and is an asset to the new supervisor, bringing her up to speed on the operations at the PAC. Shun Ong, a Clubhouse 2 and 7 coordinator, kept the clubhouses running smoothly when her supervisor promoted to a new role. And lastly but not least, Kyle Bellinger, Security Supervisor 1, was recognized by the Security Department. Kyle looks for ways to improve processes to enhance safety, efficiency, and productivity. He is helpful in researching data and obtaining information needed to support services and projects. Kyle has excellent communication skills and is regularly receiving commendations for his high level of customer service. So again, I want to thank all these employees for their outstanding performance and hope you'll join me in doing the same. Thank you.
Lenny, I have a question for Siobhan. You know, I don't know if I just didn't hear it, but on information services, I didn't hear you mention Grant Schultz. Did you mention his name?
I may have skipped, I didn't mean to skip Grant, but Grant was a critical part of the team. If I missed him, I apologize.
Yeah, okay.
He's in the picture, so thank you.
Yes, he is in the picture.
Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
So, Siobhan, this is a very good presentation. Thank you very much for sharing it. You know, we have very tight and controlled number of employees, and we have very, very well-trained employees as well. But I kind of like to see maybe in the next month's meeting, what kind of training's done for succession planning when key people have to leave our department, like recently Steve Hormuth had to leave our department, and he's a key department manager. So I'd like to see some kind of report, maybe from you or from personnel, indicating what kind of training is given for succession planning when key employees are leaving our department because of illnesses or because they're resigning or because of any reasons. Because we run a very tight ship, as you know, and we have key employees like Steve who happen to get sick and are no longer available. And I think it would be important for us to hear what kind of training is being done to accommodate that. So could you?
Yes,
let
sir.
us know?
Thank you.
Maybe at next month's meeting. That'd be great. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Okay. Next is consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. So is there a motion to approve or make any changes to the consent calendar as it's currently written?
I make a motion to approve.
To approve?
All at once.
Allison seconded. Okay, so the consent calendar is approved. Oh, are there any objections? Are there any objections? Thank you. Hearing none, the consent calendar is approved. Okay. Unfinished business, none. Next is new business, town halls. So I know that Diane and Tony led the recent insurance town hall.
Sue Kwam, she was our moderator.
And Sue. Okay, so who would like to speak about the town hall?
Sue.
Well, the town hall was on our, sorry, I don't have the mic on. The town hall was on our efforts to secure property insurance, and it was an educational forum, and I think it was well received. Over 100 people attended, and we had the specialist that we hired to try and gather information and collect information on how we can afford to do this, who's interested in bidding, that sort of thing. So it's in the preliminary stages, and we just wanted to educate people along the process of it. So that's what we did. We had great support from the board members and the staff, and we really appreciate it.
I have one comment. So this was from our new insurance agent, and it was a great overview, a lot of questions from the audience. But I wanted to kind of mention something President Ross said in the opening about NCB and why they stopped giving loans. Because I don't know if something happened before we had a revaluation of our assets, and now we're valued at $1.5 billion. I mean, we can't get that insurance, and Fannie Mae won't loan. So that is the main reason why NCB won't loan. Not just because the only insurance we have is $525 million. We can't get, it's very hard to get $525 million. And that $525 million covers the $1.5 billion. So sometimes if you can't get insurance, they might say, all right, we're going to do these 300 buildings, not all 600, or not the whole 1.5 billion. So it can, that 525 million per occurrence. So it could happen on one, and then 6 months later it could be another. And that would look at all the buildings in United. So
it's very difficult to get insurance anywhere near 600 million, and it would be prohibitively expensive to do. And so right now our insurance has gone up about $1 million a year every year at 225 million level. And it started 2 years ago at $1 million. Now it's over 3 million.
Right.
And it may continue to increase. So these are things that we have to
And
closely consider.
You look at Third, because they're a higher risk, because they have wildfire area, which is another reason why we're affected, because it's still close enough, that could cause us to, have an increase. But the market is going up like 20 to, 50% or even higher, so.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to point out a few of these nuts and bolts in this insurance thing. First of all, Fannie Mae gives out mortgages, and that's their business. Their business is not the insurance business, and so they don't, if we have a catastrophe here and say the place in Florida has a catastrophe, they don't want to get stuck with a bunch of burnout buildings because that's not their business, it's mortgage. Now, what can we do about that? I don't even know if our politicians would help us getting out because Fannie Mae gives out mortgages. They're not in the insurance business, and that's what the big problem is with this. And I don't know if we can ever resolve it because, as you pointed out, this is going up every year with inflation. And don't forget, insurance companies are stock companies, and their first priority is to keep their stockholders happy. And we're a secondary. So it's really a big issue, and I don't know how we can tackle it unless we don't get some support from our politicians. Thank you.
And keep in mind that even though we've had $225 million in insurance for the last 3 years, we have had no claims that have reached their deductible. No claims. So we have essentially paid about $6 million over the last 3 years and paid out extremely small claims. Not to say we should reduce our level of insurance, but it's sure been an expensive ride for us, and it looks like it's going to get more expensive.
Lenny, motion, you can get her first.
Yes, first I wanted to correct, Diane is, I know is mistaking, just you keep saying 525, it's not 525, it's 225.
225.
Yes, but I'm sure you know it, it just is a typo thing.
No,
so
that's
our
good.
insurance is, it's true, our insurance is 225 and is mentioned it's only this year and last year. Before that we had 425. And that 425 goes to 225, which was last year, and following 2022, and then following by 2023, we keep it at 225 per acre. What they said, President Ross, is about the insurance that possibly you mentioned is impossible. It's not impossible to get a carrier because there are many buildings around the nations, more than 1 point things that they can get insurance. But the problem is we cannot afford it. And residents must know that even with this amount, we are looking and be prepared with another 1 million going up the insurance amount. So for the next one that is coming in 2024. At this point, we're talking $3.5 million. For next year, the budgeting, you will see that we are probably going 1 more million with the same amount if we wanted to keep it not going down. And keep in mind that Third goes amazingly down from 600, 650 going down to 225. So it's a huge 400 going down. Is it open to United think about that? Maybe a little bit less, just to cover? I don't know. I am just opening the door to think about that, what we can do the best to cover at the same time, save for residents. Thank you.
So we always want to go with the insurance agent's recommendation, what they decide is best for us, and that would, cover us. So that's what we look at.
There was a very good question, and we need to pursue it. It's like, well, what does it cost to replace a building, like a 4-unit, an 8-unit, whatever. And I think the numbers that were provided were from a number of years ago in a study. So they were like, well, if it's 225 million, then how many buildings would that be that you could actually have in that occurrence? So when we think about where our numbers need to be, I think we need to have accurate rebuilding costs associated with it
Replacement cost.
in the event that we would ever need to do it.
Allison had something.
Yeah, that I would back up what Sue said, that we need to actually take a look at our, the profile of our community. How many buildings are there? How many units per building? How many manners within, and so on, so that we get a sense of, because I don't know those numbers. And in the meeting, no one else did either, as to what the replacement value of, a 6-unit building, a 4-unit building, and so on would be at today's prices. So it's very interesting to know those things, because it would give us a sense of either comfort or discomfort about our level of insurance on those structures. The risk from wildfires, of course, is the main risk that we face here. And depending on the location of your particular manor, your building, as to where prevailing winds are, where natural fire breaks occur, your risk can be higher or lower than maybe somebody in the middle of the village, that's surrounded on all sides by other buildings. So I think to do to look at a profile of our community, our buildings, their replacement cost today, is an extremely valuable thing to do. Also, we have to be, of course, always our own best friend and recognize that insurance agents, our insurance agents, having been one myself, they're never going to recommend less insurance. It's going to be up to us to have courage of our conviction and make our own analysis. Fortunately, we have good insurance analysts here on staff, Dan Yost, who can help us out with understanding that, but it's going to be up to us to make that determination in the end.
So, Siobhan, could we ask Dan Yost to help us, give us updated values in our community, approximately what the updated values per building is, or per structure, or some type of an update, because I think it's been a while since we've had that information. Could he help us put together something like that?
Yes, he can do that.
Okay.
I had a meeting with him actually before this insurance that happened. As I don't know when he had this updated information, but as I understand, and he mentioned, is 1.2 million for one of those that has 4 unit in that. So. Let's say roughly for 4, if we are talking about $1 million to replacement, is 225, back to your question, Sue, is 225, but please understand this is per occur. I hope never happen, but imagine on Monday if happened and then 10 buildings is built, and in Wednesday by another fire or flood, another 250 we can get it.
Yeah.
So it's not just one 225 million. Otherwise, I would be scared by that one.
Yeah, it's
it's per occur. Per occur. If it is Monday and then Wednesday you get another. Of course, if 3-4 times you claim, God knows that next year we have any insurance or not. They can not. And if you read the news yesterday, I don't know you read it or not. People in Laguna Niguel. Their insurance company totally in June 15, they decided when it's done, they are not going to renew. And if they wanted to renew, they said 50% goes up. And when I read this news, and Laguna Niguel is close to us based on that, I am so scared that probably our insurance going in that level too. So just keep in mind and read the news and see our neighborhood, and until it comes in October.
I just also wanted to mention, one of the other things that came up during this insurance town hall was that State Farm is planning on pulling out of the California market, but not to existing. At first they weren't going to renew, but they're going to keep the policies for people that have a policy right now, but if you move, you might not get a policy. So keep in mind, Automobile Club went out, AAA went out at one point when there was a lot of fires, but they came back into the market, so it's a very scary market.
Okay, thank you. And Sue, I have a question for you. Regarding the town hall, were there any questions that were asked at the town hall that weren't answered at the time that need to be addressed?
Well, one of the questions was on the cost per property, and then there were a couple of others. I'll get them to you, Lenny. One question that was not related to the property insurance discussion was concern about the flashing red stop signs. And they have a lot of, several residents came forward, not many, but several came forward and said there had been a petition, and they had forwarded it and nothing had happened. And we tried to address it by explaining that this was something that this sighted community had requested, but I do think it needs to be referred to VMS and have them answer it.
Yes. Can you send me a copy of the questions?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, security and access is that committee, and we're meeting, I think, June 28th. I'll give it in the report. So they're trying different things. I have suggested bot dots, and we are trying different things, considering different things. The flashing lights upset some people. They make more people stop. I've seen more people stopping that have been running. You used to come through, and if you count to 2, you're the only one left there. And the rest of them run, and they are slowing down and becoming more cautious because it is out there, and they know that traffic is an issue with us now. And so people are being better already because of it. You might not like it, and you might not like if we put orange stripes or yellow stripes across part of the street to make people notice. But these things, each one, for a while, works because it draws their attention. Now, in 2 weeks, they might be used to it again and just ignore it. But every single time we make a change like that or publicize about it, people are a little more cautious. We just need to put out a reminder every month or so.
Maybe at the next traffic hearings, when we have that committee, we'll see if there's less running stop sign violations as a result of the lighted stop signs. We'll see.
Right, we'll see.
The people, one gentleman in particular was concerned that it may affect his property values, and it is on the corner, and he had videos showing where the light was flashing. He had 2 coming in, and right by his house. So he wanted to get the actual data. He said he's asked for that numerous times. I don't know if that's true or not, about the study as to why this is effective and how you go forward. I don't know if there are compromises. It's something that we should discuss outside of here. But
no, that's right. It's Security and Access Committee.
Yes.
Okay, so for the next town hall, do we have any ideas for July? Anyone come up with any ideas? Pearl?
Everybody's been asking for landscape.
Yeah, landscape.
Because at the town hall,
Yes.
last town hall, there's a huge demand for wanting to have a town hall on landscape.
Yes, I agree with what Director Lee said. Landscape, I am receiving, unfortunately, I stopped responding 4 or 5 almost every day about landscaping. First I started to sending, then I stopped. I don't know what to answer. I don't know what to say. I think maybe be a little bit educational. Maybe they are unhappy. All I know is they are unhappy, and I am not in that committee. I don't know how to say. And then I just stop responding. So highly recommended to have that one.
I do think we need to have something on landscape, but whether it's this one or not, the next one or not, I'm not sure. I think timing of this is important. I'd like to see what they're going to do in the budget for landscaping and go forward after we know what their budget is, because I think that's a critical part of how you address the issues.
Actually, President, actually, for the budget matter is important to have. For budget matter is important to have a town hall so they be prepared if we take it up. Said the reason is this much staff they have it, and we might want to do. Would you like to have this landscape, or would you like to pay $10 more? So it is important, and we have to address.
Okay, Maggie. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Landscape needs to be answered by landscape.
Right.
We can't make those answers at a town hall. We can do it. I can do it. I've been on landscape for many, many, many years, but I am not the expert in the room. Landscape department is the expert in the room. So we should stop trying to solve problems with a town hall. We should listen, we should keep what we're doing. They're very valuable, people like them. But we cannot answer the questions. I can answer them, but it is not the official answer. The only one who can do that is staff. So we have to encourage people to come to landscape meetings. There are still only 4 or 5 people that come, and if there are 75 people who are pissed because there's a dead bush outside their house that's been there for 2 months and they just can't stand it anymore because they see it 5 times a day every time they come out. Those people need to come to the landscape committee meeting.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Siobhan. I think we talked about this once before in landscape, and VMS was working on a proposal to bring kind of an open forum, and I'll turn it over to Siobhan.
Yes, and Carlos and Kurt are working on this. This will be at the United Landscape meeting. It will be an open forum for residents to come voice their concerns about landscaping. And it will be publicized ahead of time and so forth.
Please understand some directors, not all, that town hall is not for solving the problem. Nobody says that in town hall we are going there to solve the problem. We're going there to hear, not for this city, for any city when the congresswoman make a town hall. We are going there just to tell them what we want, and they take it to the action what they can. I think it's a confusion for some directors that they take it so seriously and they think they are responsible and they have to solve it. It's not about solving. It's about let residents come. Actually, we don't know many problems that they can see, and then we collect those problems. We are doing actually a better job and then pass it to that. For example, today this woman come and says that there is a light on. We didn't know. Staff didn't know. So by just little information, they can address that. So when residents, why we should be afraid? For months we are asking this one, and only a few directors are against to having listen to residents, let residents talk.
I don't think anybody is against having people come and expressing their views. I really don't think that that's what's happening. I do agree with Maggie. I think that they should be coming to the landscape committee to express that, but I also think that this is a very big issue, not only for United, it's for the mutuals, it's for Third, it's for VMS. And I do think that we should have an open forum for all the venues to come in and talk about this. And we need staff to answer the questions, we need management to explain the budgets and just the allocation of the resources, and then how do we address it? After that, I'd be happy to have a landscape meeting, but we are not allowed to have staff at the town hall meetings. We're not allowed to request that. Unless that changes, it's just a venue for them to come in and vent at us, and we're certainly willing to listen and to take all of those notes down. But it would be very helpful to have the people who are there that will actually do the work and give them the budget to perform present.
Okay, let me make a comment about that, because there was a recent town hall that we had on maintenance and construction, and Azar did quite a bit of research on how the repair process is done. Who gets repairs done, who doesn't get repairs done, when there's alterations done, and she researched that, and it was a pretty successful town hall because it answered a lot of residents' questions on alterations and repairs and maintenance and construction. She doesn't work for VMS. She's our board member, but she led the town hall in such a way that she gave some pretty insightful information on the repair process. That's all we're doing is, ahead of the landscape town hall, we would want a moderator, maybe Pearl or someone else, to collect information on what is the current process, how many times a year does landscaping cover each of the mutuals, and I think it's 3 times or 4 times, but some basic information, and then listen to them and listen to them vent, and then go from, and then when we have the information, we can share that with VMS. Yeah. And so it does give us, we can provide the information through our chair of landscaping. She could moderate the meeting, and she could tell them exactly what Kurt is working on and what staff is working on, and because she has the most recent information. And I think that would be very beneficial to explain to them that based on budget constraints and like that was mentioned yesterday, that under PCM we had many more landscape employees, plus we covered the mutuals, I think it was 6 times a year. But now we have far less landscape employees, and we cover the mutuals 3 times per year. Well, based on cutting our staff nearly in half, we're not going to get the same results. And so we could explain that at a town hall. It's quite simple to explain that. And those types of things we need to do to educate. And we need to educate them that we have tight budget constraints, we have inflation, and it's very difficult to keep our costs constant. So all of those things can be mentioned by the moderator at the town hall in advance of letting them vet, which they're going to do. But I think it's a good opportunity to listen to our people, because we see it in the Globe all the time, complaints, and we should listen to them at a town hall. I think it would be a good experience myself. Maggie.
Everything you said could be answered at a landscape meeting, and is at every meeting. It is at every meeting, If we want to have a landscape town hall before they give their presentation, that seems kind of counterproductive. Let them give their presentation. In the meantime, let us tell people to go to the landscape meeting, or to just pull up the agenda package online and read it.
Okay.
If you do that, you will be an informed citizen. If you don't do it, you're not so much informed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Diane.
I'd be happy to do it. It's no problem. Sue, and I'm sure she'd be happy to be there. And Anthony, we're on the board. That would be fine. I just think it's kind of premature, because they had to get back onto schedule, with the services, and, after the drought, and it's definitely looking a lot better. It's improving. And I listened to client services yesterday, and I heard, how they're approaching things. So I guess just giving that information to the members, and how they process, and if they can get a response, that, and a time frame, So I'm sure we could do it. Work with the CEO, and you could give me the information I need, and also, I like that presentation yesterday. So, Sue, what do you think?
I absolutely want to get information addressed and out there. Yeah. I just don't know what the timing of it is.
Yeah.
And so that's something perhaps we can work on. But I know it's a big concern. It's been a big concern the 6.5 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
So my concern is the budget and the fact that we have tried to stay on budget for those many years, and I appreciate that as a homeowner, that we get the zero increases, but it causes friction because there's an expectation of excellence, and our budget just may not be able to afford that. We can do good, and we can try to improve it, and hopefully make it better and better and better.
Well, I just want to say one other thing. I was walking around a community, an older community yesterday, and it's very natural looking. I mean, it's not, all sculptured and manicured and sod. I mean, I think people think because we're living in a resort that it's supposed to be like Florida, or something, that it's supposed to have all the bells and whistles. I mean, a lot of people have taken over their property and put their plants in there and their things. And if we went to a uniform state where we took all that out, maybe we could maintain it easier, because it's hard, for the gardeners to go to somebody's house. And I can think of one person in particular who has taken over the whole thing. How are they going in there and fixing all those plants? I mean, she says she's a gardener and does it, but I'm sure the staff has to work on that too. So, it's a difficult situation. But we could definitely explain how you go about the process, the ticket process, the follow-up process, how they have a special crew that goes around for small tickets. We could definitely do that. Good. What about Anthony? What do you think, Anthony? You've been on this committee for a while.
Well, landscape is like talking about the weather. And, you can approach it from so many ways. So the best thing is, as we're trying to come to a consensus here, is to get it organized, get a theme, and maybe we should wait for the landscape department to do their thing before we jump in. I don't know.
The budget. Yeah,
but I think landscape's like talking about the weather. It has to be some kind of organization, I would think, to get something done.
Well, I feel that if there is an honest questions, they deserve honest answers, whether we are ready or not. We have postponed 1 month. I know there was a dying desire for people to hear from the landscape. And I'm sure there are a lot of things that they're working on. And right now, they're on the hot seat. But I feel our responsibility as a board members not to wait till they finish up what they for their report. Our position is slightly different than from the staff's. Our position is we have to give them answers as we are today. And they're not expecting a perfect answers either. But we need to let them know that our position, we feel the same, we are experiencing the same problem that all the rest of the residents do. And we understand that the VMS is working as hard as they can, but we haven't got to any point near to what we like to see. And we also have to deal with the budgets and all these problems, the practical problems that we have to face in order to fix this issue. That doesn't mean that we can sit here and just keep telling them we're working on it. I think we need to be honest. We need to let them know what is happening, and what we cannot do, we cannot do. But we need to face them and talk to them and listen to them. And we're not there to solve the problem.
Also, the meeting, the next landscape meeting for United is June 26.
Yeah.
And so we'll have the town hall in July, so we can gather the information from the June 26 meeting and use it for the town hall. So.
Yes.
That's a good point, Lenny. And Siobhan, You mentioned that
Can
you're
I-
going to
can I
send
talk?
out some kind of, maybe they could-
Mike, please.
Yes, I think there will be some sort of encouragement to have residents attend. Again, I don't want to speak for Carlos, who's coordinating this, but yes, that is the intent.
I think Director Lee spelled out very well that it's not necessary any town hall, not this landscape town hall, that we are obligated to answer all the question and solve the problem. Otherwise, we never need any committee. If it is a town hall can solve all the problem. And we all talk it is just informative and let residents hear residents, what they are wants, and we talk almost 20 minutes about that. Can we go and make a motion? If it is failed, we can go to the next one. We talk a lot, we heard, and I don't think so it's a waste of
Maggie had
time more
something
than
to say.
this.
Maggie had something to say. Go ahead, Maggie.
Thank you. In the meantime, each director, that's 10 of us here, isn't it? Or 9? Each director can tell everyone they see to come to the landscape meeting this month. That's a start. I mean, we have 5, maybe 6 people come. The same people come often, and they talk about certain things. They talk about the creek all the time, even though that doesn't do any good. And they talk about other things. And each person has got something. So plug the landscape committee, and we'll see how many people actually show up at the committee. And then we'll know how many people are really serious about finding out what's going on.
Okay, I don't want to spend all morning on
Thank
this.
you.
So
I'd
let's
like to
try to
make a
wrap
motion.
this up. Oh, Pearl?
Yes, I would like to make a motion, whether we have landscape forum or town hall, I would like to make a motion
Go ahead.
that we need to have a town hall meeting in July on landscape.
I second it.
And it's seconded. Any comments? Or? Oh, yeah.
I just, if it's the town hall, I won't be in town, so you'll have to get someone else to assist
Okay.
you on that.
Okay, anybody is.
So who would be the moderator? Would you be the moderator, Diane?
Could be if it passes, but.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So is there another comment, Maggie?
I'd like to assist as a 6-year member of landscape.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of Maggie and
No.
Diane? Diane is moderator and Maggie is assistant. For landscaping or July town hall, raise your hand. Okay, it's approved. Thank you. Okay.
I would like to make one comment.
Yeah, sure.
So on the 26th, we're going to have a landscape meeting, but on the 22nd, we're going to have an ad hoc tree meeting. And it's very important that anybody who is interested in the Canary Island ponds come to that meeting.
Okay.
It's supposed to be an open meeting in the boardroom, and that's what I requested, so I'm hoping that that's the situation. But there are some issues.
Mike, please. Your mic.
I'm saying it's very important to come on the 22nd at 9:30 to the ad hoc tree committee meeting. We're going to be discussing the urban forest study, and anybody who was interested in the Canary Island pines, please come to that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, item 13C, entertain a motion, wait a minute, hold on. Oh, forget B. Entertain a motion to approve election of officer, secretary. Okay, we with Mary Simon having left, she was our secretary. So now we have to elect a new secretary, and I think we're going to go through the process of hiring, deciding on a new officer, a secretary for our board. And I think the process is the same as when you add on any new officer, you take motions from any of our members, any of our directors. So at this point, Is there anyone that would like to make a motion to?
First, we should
bring
get
on a secretary?
nomination.
What's that?
Before motion, we should get nomination.
Yeah, nomination.
You said motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, would you like to make a nomination?
Yes, I would like to make nominate Sue Kwam for secretary.
Okay. And there's a
You should
second?
ask if accepted.
Yes, I would accept it.
Would you
Thank
accept?
if I-
Okay. Any other nominations?
I have a question.
Maggie.
Yes, I volunteered to be secretary. I was secretary for 3 years before, so I know the ins and outs. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second for Maggie?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Isn't Sue Kwam running for the office?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can
No,
she
for
be a
secretary.
secretary at the same time?
She is secretary. What do you mean office?
What
do you mean by office?
Oh, is it the election?
This is for secretary instead of Mary Simon.
Oh, okay.
This is to
okay.
take
No,
Mary's
but
place as
I'm
secretary.
asking, is she up for election in September?
Yes.
Okay, so we're
That's
talking
another
about
matter.
next 4 months?
Yes.
For 4
Oh,
months.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully longer parole time.
So I'll second Maggie's nomination. Okay, any other nominations? Okay, so how do we do this casting of ballots? Do we do it on the computer or?
We're going to pass these out, and each of you can fill in the name of the representative, you'd like a secretary, and I'll come around. and
Okay.
pick it up. Let me know if you need pens, I have pens as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have to fold it. Yes.
Okay.
Session. I'm going to try. Yeah. I'm going to try to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah, I think I can do it. I think I can get it. Yeah, just the way I organize the flyer, the way I have them organize the e-blast. You know, like we're going to be training on how to get it done. You know, it's a training session. You know, and then I'll be taking tickets. And we'll write them up.
Go to this page. Go to this page.
And then I'll monitor
have something for you.
You know, in charge of the process. And so that we feel, so we feel this. And maybe we can incorporate that same thing in the landscape committee.
Yes.
That when they come frustrated, they can sort of pull them in, a little help them.
Hey, Paul, when you do select the person or persons, a person, I don't think it's necessary to say the number of votes. Just say who was selected, if you would.
Okay, the next secretary is Sue Kwam.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Sue.
So we have
Could you please
a
sit
motion,
here?
appointment of officers resolved on June 13th, 2023 pursuant to United Laguna Woods Mutual bylaws. Article 9, which sets guidelines, terms, and responsibilities for the election of officers to this corporation. The following persons are hereby elected to the office indicated next to their names to serve. All are the same. Lenny Ross, President. Thomas Tuning, First Vice President. Allison Bach, Second Vice President. Sue Quam, Secretary. Azar Asghari, Treasurer. Resolved further that the following staff person is hereby appointed as ex officio officer of the corporation, the same as it has been before. Don Foster, Vice President, ex officio. Carlos Rojas, Assistant Secretary, ex officio. Steve Hormuth, Assistant Treasurer, ex officio. Resolved further that Resolution 012310, adopted March 13, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are directed on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
I second it.
Okay. Is it necessary to vote on it?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments? Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's move on to the next. 13C is entertain a motion to approve the 2022 operating surplus. So, would you like to talk?
Thank you so much, Mr. President. As everyone knows, after audit every year, if there is, especially for the operating, because it's the cash amount, if there is a deficit, we transfer from contingency account to the operating, and is vice versa. If it is more, then we transfer from operating to the contingency. Last year, fortunately, happened to be it was about $32,246. That we are asking to transfer from operating fund to contingency fund. So in that case, we are following the recommendation that approve of $32,246 transfer from operating fund to contingency fund due to operating fund surplus in 2022. With that said, before we answer any question,
Point
we
of
are
order.
holden.
Point of order, there is no resolution.
Yes, there is. If
There
you go to
is no
next- Oh,
resolution
my
that
goodness.
has been read.
Can you, I am asking the new, this is information before that, and now we are going to a new secretary, Director Quam. I am asking, please read, because as a job of secretary reading, if you are reading the resolution. Go ahead. please. Go.
Okay. Whereas in accordance with California Civil Code, a common interest development shall not retain significant operating surplus, funds that are not needed to defray current operating costs. And whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual balance sheet as of December 31st, 2022 reflected an operating surplus from prior year in the amount of $32,246 net of depreciation, and the board desires to return this amount to the member by way of a transfer to the contingency fund. Now therefore be it resolved June 13, 2023, that the board of directors of this corporation hereby authorizes the transfer of $32,246 from accumulated operating surplus to the contingency fund, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution.
I make a motion to accept this resolution.
I second it.
Okay, and it's been seconded by Diane. Okay, any questions about it? I have a question. So my question is, I thought the surplus was based on the audit was larger than 32,000.
Please understand, this is for operating we are talking only, and operating is just in the, if you look at the whole we have two different operating account and reserve account. Those are totally different, and we have different account even in the bank. So this, what we are talking specifically, is from operating.
And that's it. Even the audit showed that 32,000 was correct? as
Yes,
the
it is
excess in
correct.
operating.
It is correct.
Okay. Tom?
Actually, in the audit, it's a consolidated audit, which includes our GRF portions and everything. So if you just look at the audit itself, that is published, you won't see that 32,000 figure. You have to see the breakdown of the United portion without the GRF, and then you've got depreciation, and that's a non-cash item and everything in there. But so if you look at the details of the United without GRF, you'll get to that $32,246.
Can I add to that? If any residents,
Recognition,
if
point of
any
order, were you called on?
If any residents needs to information that Director Tom mentioned, please go to the last finance meeting. The report is online on the website, and you can see exactly how this 32,000 in the details is there. The motion comes from Finance Committee. This discussed in the Finance Committee in details. Now you are seeing the result of the committee here.
Any other comments? Any other comments? Okay, before we go to the vote. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, Director comments at this point. Any director comments? Maggie?
Yes. We need to be following our orders. The order is a resolution gets read. That puts the question on the floor. Then the chair of the committee gives the explanation. That does not count as her discussion. Then we have discussion. Then we take the vote. So let us preserve that order, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pearl?
Yeah, my comment is that now there is increasing concerns over traffic situation in the community. And it takes, I think, a lot of different ways to solve this. I don't even know whether we can solve it, but to approach this situation. But two things I'm going to ask everybody to really pay attention. If you have underage visitors, like grandchildren or grandnephews, please do not let them drive golf carts, not even for a little while, in a short distance, because it can be very dangerous for the person who's driving, and also it creates a huge problem for the residents. Secondly, if you're going to drive in the village, make sure you have valid driver's license. I understand that there are some residents that are driving without with the expired license, and it can also create a problem for us. And there are other issues that we are hearing about the traffic situation. We'll continue to watch and work on these issues, but please pay attention to your driving and slow down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I do have.
Ms. Owen?
I want to ask all residents that you can hear, please come. We are in the middle of the budgeting. This is the time that you can talk. The version 1 is already gone, and then we are going to the version 2. And if you have to add something and you want it, it is the time. But middle of the year, when you are emailing us and you wanted more service, I cannot do anything, and I cannot add money to that. And when you are coming and requesting, please understand that the association fee is going to go up as well. So I want it right now. You make your decision how much service you want. If you want it, please come to the budgeting meeting. I'm asking each of you, when it goes to the website, they are announcing ahead of the time. They are very organized about that. They mentioned we have version 2 and then comes to the version 3. After version 3, it goes only to the vote. And 99.9, another 9, we're passing that one. There is no changes after version 3. So before that, if you have any voice, please come to those meetings. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to committee reports. Report first one, and try to be as brief as possible on these. We can get through them quickly. First one is report of the Finance Committee. Azar?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Let's go to the slide 1. Through the reporting period of February 28, 2023, total revenue for United was $8.6 million compared to expenditures $7.3, resulting in net revenue of $1.2 million. And can we go to the next? Thank you so much. This is in finance. We always keep an eye on operating portion of our financial result. The operating fund without depreciation shows an operating surplus of $546,000 through the reporting period, as you can see. But please understand, this is only for February. We are in May, and this number is changed by now. Let's go start slide 3. This next chart takes the full income statement and compare those results to budget. We can see that United ended the period better than budget by $1.1 million when combining both operating and reserve account. That number is right on the bottom. You can see at the end box is $1.1 million. If we go to page 4, please. The most significant variance from budget were attributed to the following. You can see that right now is outside services is 596 favorable variance. Please understand this is not something favorable. It means that some jobs is not started. All of this money will be used later. And then we are going the next for the employee compensation, and is $331,000 favorable balance, resulting primarily in the landscape and M&C department due to open position that we have. You can see my favorite one, investment income, that you can see, and I promise you to be green, and is $100,000 now favorable variance, resulting for higher rates of return received on Treasury bill investment than before. And the next one is $39,000 favorable variance, resulting to primary from rain and timing of expenditures. But again, this will be used later. Utility and telephone is unfavorable at $39,000, and that's due to an under-accurate accrual at the year end of 2022 of sewer and water. Among all of these green that you can see, all be used during the year except that investment income. It will stay that $100,000 and keep adding to that. I want you to know about this page. Thank you. Let's go to the slide 5. Thank you. On this pie chart, we show non-assessment revenue earned to date is $436,000. Revenue is organized by category, starting with our largest revenue generating category, investment income, followed by fees and charges, golf cart electric fees, laundry, electricity vehicle, plugging fee, and so forth. And you can see in this one lots of non-assessment income. And on slide 6, please. Thank you. On this pie chart, we see the expenses to date is a $7.3 million, showing that our largest category of expenses are for employee compensation. As you can hear this morning, a report of representative of a VMS board, 60% of the total assessment or income goes through the compensation. Let's go to the slide 7. On this next slide, we see those same expenses, but we take it off property tax, because property tax is different account. We just collect it from residents and pass it on. And slide 6, Thank you so much. No, sorry, slide 8, my bad, thank you. Our fund balance are shown here. The contingency fund balance on February 28 was 1.1 contribution, collected totally 12,000 with no expenditures to date. The reserve fund balance on February 28 was a 17.4 million contribution, and investment revenue collected totally 2.1 million, while expenditures was 1.3 million. As you can see, the property tax fund balance on February 28 was actually negative 583 deficit. Contribution and investment revenue collected totally 2.2 million, while expenditures were 2.2 million as well. And if we go to page 9, we compare this to historical fund balance for the past 5 years on this chart, and which we have averaged right now 19 millions. And we are hoping by collecting the investment as going, we are back to original 20 million. And we go to slide 10. We have a slide here to show resale history from 2021 to 2023 through February 28. United resale totaled 39, which is 39 resale lower than the period. I'm not sure this lower is because it's all cash, because we had it last year as well. But anyway, at this point, we don't have any loan for residents. The average year-to-date resale price for a United Mutual Manor was $310,000, which is 5,000 higher than per year. So you can see that prices is not dropped yet, but the number is dropped. And that was basically the report for this portion. And I am going to, number 2 is a report for the private loan research, which is number 4. As you know about that, we have an ad hoc committee including 4 resident members who each have 30-plus background in loan, and ad hoc committee meeting weekly, almost more than 4 months, and the package is almost done, and we are sending the package for the review to the legal counsel, and as soon as the result comes, we present it to the president and, of course, to the board. And that is, at this point, mine. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is report of the... Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe perhaps Treasurer Ascari could explain to everybody why it takes so long for these numbers to come forth. Today's June 13th. We're looking at end of February numbers.
Okay, that is the problem because, for example, every month we are seeing the month before, but Finance Committee, unfortunately, I don't know, is the last Tuesday of the month. So we already in the last Tuesday of month we are seeing the previous month, and by the time that be okay and comes to the board, it goes 2 months back. So that is the situation, and they couldn't find any other way unless changing the Finance Committee's timing separate.
Okay, next is Architectural Controls and Standards, Director Liberatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We haven't had any requests for alterations. However, this Thursday, on the 15th, there's going to be a detailed meeting, and people who are thinking about making alterations or changes to the manor should attend this meeting, and it'll be a virtual meeting, and I suggest that you download the agenda or look at it on your computer if you're computer illiterate. It's going to be an important meeting, and it will give you instructions on how we're proceeding with this asbestos removal and also alteration. So I suggest that this meeting in particular, that you attend it or at least look at the agenda. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Report of the Member Hearings Committee, Director Lee.
Last Thursday, we had a membership hearing committee. That was the longest meeting that I ever had with the membership because there were many cases were presented and all the residents choose to come to the meeting and explain us their side of the story. So, but it went well. And one good news is thanks to adding part-time employees, they are working on their backlogging the billings, and they are catching up, and they're very happy with that. Thank you.
Next is Governing Documents, Director Blackwell.
Thank you. We have had 3 meetings this last month to try and get a hold of the sublease room rental policy. And staff formulated it into one giant policy, which is very intricate and difficult wording for people to understand. And so we've been going through paragraph by paragraph to see if we can make that shorter and understandable. About 2 weeks ago or a week ago, Jeff Beaumont responded to requests and did agree that he could write a policy for the room renters, which would be separate from that, which would take us a whole huge chapter back. And then we could restore and adjust our current sublease policy and then have a separate policy for room rentals, which are now okay by the state, and we cannot say no to a room rental if it's more than 30 days. So that's a joyous note for Jeff to make that offer for us, because as a committee, we have really been struggling with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is report of the Landscape Committee and Director Casey.
Yeah. So we met on May 22nd and had a presentation, an update by staff, Kurt, and we also talked about, we had a demonstration on new equipment that we are going to have to convert to, which is electric and heavy, cumbersome, but it's the law, so that was an interesting meeting. And there were really no other issues besides that, but you could always watch that meeting and see the department head update on Granicus. So our landscape tree ad hoc committee meeting is June 22nd, but it is not on the Monday morning memo, so I don't think it's listed. And it's supposed to be an open meeting in the boardroom, so I'm just wondering why it's not on there. So that's an important meeting. It meets on June 22nd at 9 o'clock, and the Landscape Committee meeting meets on June 26th at 1:30. Thank you.
And the next one is Maintenance and Construction, and I was there at the meeting. And one of the things we talked about at the meeting was for staff to come up with a plan which is similar to the plan for Third as well, because they're asking for the same thing, where when our units are upgraded, if the upgrading to our units includes things like improving the pipes or improving the infrastructure, which is something that we would have to be responsible for, we have asked staff to come up with a program where we would credit something to the owners, offsetting some of the costs for their upgrade. So they're planning to come up with a plan to possibly at our next meeting, and we're looking forward to hearing from that. Allison, where's Allison? Was there anything else? I think you were at the last meeting. Was there anything else? I think that was one of the things. Okay. And the next meeting is June 28th at 9:30. And then the next one is the report of the United Resident Advisory Committee, Director Livatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Resident Advisory Committee already met June 8th. It meets on the second Thursday of every month. It's very well attended, and thanks to the advice and insight of Director Lee, we hold it in the Elm Room. We don't have any 3-minute limits, and so people are free to tell us what their issues are, and we run with them. So the next meeting will be, and then, again, let me just say, a lot of this stuff is personal, so we don't go through, we don't itemize what's been said. Anyway, the next meeting will be the second Thursday in July. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. And now to GRF committee highlights. First one is GRF Finance, Director Ascari.
Thank you, Mr. President. We didn't have, actually, I don't have any update because GRF didn't have any meeting last month. The previous one was April 19, which I gave a report of that last month. And the next meeting actually is this month. If you are interested, please come June 21 at 1:30, and it is in this boardroom. Also, you can join us via Zoom. Thank you.
Okay. The next one is Community Activities Committee, Director Lee.
We had this meeting last Thursday. Many requests were made by the residents to extend the clubhouse hours in Clubhouse 4. Because of those classrooms are taken by Saddleback College, it limits for our residents to get in there and do their work. But at this time, they cannot extend the hours due to the budget. So they will follow up closely and they will give us the update. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is GRF Landscape, Director Kwong.
Yes, the GRF Landscape Committee met, and it was good news. We are working on adding funds in the 2024 budget to complete the list of required work within 1 year of contracting for re-landscaping the gates as you enter. And so we hope that that money will stay in the budget, but time will tell on that. It was a $250,000 request to complete and or update the gate entries.
Okay. Okay, next is GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee meeting. And I was there in addition to Director Mary Simon. And the meeting actually tomorrow is scheduled for June 14th at 9:30. And the thing the issue that's coming up before us is the results of the space utilization plan, which I think will be at a corporate members meeting on May 29th. And at the meeting tomorrow.
No, May
June?
Or is it June 29th? I'm sorry, June 29th. You're right. And there's a corporate meeting members to talk about that. And as all of you know, the space utilization plan came about as a result of the decision to not go ahead with Building E replacement. And as such, we came up with two alternative plans, was to find a rental space available for our 40-plus employees, which they're now in the community center, and also to hire a consultant, which is to go out and see in the community where the best places would be to move those 40-plus people into our community at the various locations in our community. And so that's going to be announced officially at June 29th at our corporate meeting. But at tomorrow's meeting, I just wanted to talk about, to find out whether the M&C committee had some involvement in that particular issue and to talk about their process of possibly getting the information to our board members ahead of the June 29th decision, because I would be very interested in seeing a copy of the report that was issued by that we spent about $50,000 on, and I would also like to see what GRF's ideas are on this program before the June 29th meeting. So I'm going to be discussing that at tomorrow's meeting. And then the next one is the...
Can I ask a question regarding
Yeah,
to
go
what-
ahead.
You mentioned that tomorrow you have this meeting while our corporate meeting is in 29. So in that meeting, when we talk about this space organization, can we, is it possible after that meeting directly goes to GRF board or should come to the committee first?
Well, that's what I'll be talking about.
Okay,
I'll
you're
ask
talking
that
tomorrow,
question.
you know it,
Yeah.
and let us know.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
thank
find
you so much.
The most important thing is for our board and our board members to see this information ahead of the June 29th meeting. So we can see it.
Let's Catherine talk about that.
Catherine?
So the meeting on the 29th is a closed meeting.
Closed.
And the vendor will be there giving a presentation. You will get your packet ahead of time, so you'll have it.
Okay.
So it will be taken care of ahead of time, so just to be aware.
Okay, good. Okay, the next item is Clubhouse Facilities Ad Hoc Committee. And Director Simon is, Anthony, were you at that meeting?
Yes, we didn't have this last meeting, and the next meeting is scheduled here.
Okay.
The disaster preparedness thing, we didn't have a meeting this past month.
Okay. And how about Media and Communications, Director Kwong?
Yes, we met on May 15th, and our next meeting is July 17th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom, and as a virtual meeting. And they did brief updates on the ad hoc committees, the website, and the broadband. And since then, there was another meeting to approve the vendor, to vote on a vendor for the website renovation, and that's moving forward.
Thank you. Next is Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Director Bob.
Yes, the new chairman of that committee is Elsie Addington. She replaces the late Don Tibbetts as chairman of Mobility and Vehicles. At that meeting, Robert Carroll presented and proposed a contract be signed with a group called Sourcewell, which is essentially a vehicle shopping committee, a company that would go out and source additional proposals for vehicles that we might be buying. And since this contract does not cost us anything, and this company asserts that they have access to a lot more than maybe our own purchasing department would have time to source, that contract was indeed approved by the group for further approvals up the line. We had a little show and tell. We had a van, one of the new vans, the Dodge Ram 350 vans was back outside the back door, and we all got to go in there and kick the tires and smell the new car smell. It's an 8-passenger van, room for 2 wheelchairs, and we'll be out circulating the village and hopefully making a lot of riders happy. That's it.
Also much more efficient because
Much
they're a
more
little
efficient.
smaller.
Yep.
And so we're going to save some money on gas and other things.
Right.
So then the next one is the, that's that, Mobility. Security and Community Access Committee, Director Blackwell.
Right. This is the committee that does things about the lights and so on. So we met last time on, goodness, it's hard to tell, Wednesday, April 26th. We are meeting June 28th at 1:30. We will be discussing again the backup generators needed at some of the clubhouses because we definitely need one at Clubhouse 3. You don't want a room full of people watching a show to have the lights and air conditioning go out. So that will be a discussion again. We are talking about the gates, of course, and we are talking about the crosswalks or lack thereof, or bots, dots, or paint on the street, or whatever it is we can do to make this a safer place. And so we will be continuing on with that discussion. We've had some audience participation regarding the flashing lights, and I'm sure we will have those again. But actually, putting them up and taking them down every 6 months, I think, would probably wake the community up regularly. But anyway, it certainly did wake the community up, and I think that has accomplished something, even if we take them down, just doing it every now and then. Like having the little meter out on your street does make you slow down and be more cautious. But there are other solutions that we can have that we will discuss. And so we'll be meeting on the 28th.
Okay. Next one is Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings, Director Akrakar.
The traffic hearings were held on May 17th, and the next hearings on June 21st this month at 9 a.m. in the boardroom. Traffic school is also available for $20 cost if you have local tickets, not the sheriff tickets. Thank you.
I'd be interested on your June 21st meeting if you find any less running stop signs as a result of the lighted stop signs out there. So if you could just key in on that, I would be interested in what you find.
Excuse me. So can I add? Because when it was a discussion about this stoplight, I asked, I am always about the numbers and asking number. The problem was they never had, they go by the number of the ticket is not important. They have to say that if they see the stop sign or not see the stop sign, that's totally different matter. Because here in California, many people see a stop sign as a just slow down and go. And this is how they said. And I remember in that committee, I asked how many of them they said, I did not see this one, so I need a flashing to see it. But if there is a habit, I grew up like this, my mother did, my father did, and I'm gonna do, those light doesn't help me at all because it is a habit. As you can see recently, a member put 141 video, 30 seconds, that is still flashing and people coming, slowing and keep going. You don't need a ticket, you can see that 141 things. If you go, please ask if the reason is not seeing or just a habit of the passing the stop sign. Thank you.
Pearl.
I received many comments. It helps them at the nighttime, not necessarily during daytime, but at nighttime it definitely helps.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next one is report of the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, Director Liberatore.
Thank you, Mr. President. The meeting was well attended, and it's a task force, not a committee. And Eric Nunes heads that committee. And we have a little bit of an issue that I'll try to get together with staff, either Catherine or Siobhan, that some people at Clubhouse 3 have organized themselves into a disaster response committee. The problem with that is, from my past experience in the waterfront, where we have a lot of injuries and deaths, when first responders arrive here, they have to know who's in charge. So I'm going to get together with staff. These people have their own vests, they're organized, they're trained, but when first responders come, they don't know who they are. And so I'm going to get that. And now we have another meeting coming up on June 25th to discuss this, and I'll get together with staff to see if we can get some kind of resolution here on this. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you.
It's July.
July 25th, I think it is, yeah. Okay, and then report of the Compliance Ad Hoc Committee, Director Blackwell.
Okay, the latest minutes are not in here, but I have them. We met June 9th. That's why they weren't here. So we are going over the member disciplinary hearing process procedure for GRF. That means everywhere on GRF property or on the streets or anywhere. If it happens outside in the clubhouse or on any property that GRF has control over or on the streets, then all those incidents would come to GRF. So that's the one we're working on. We are working on the fines. As usual, it's 25 to 500, depending on the number of offenses you have or the seriousness of it. We are working on the clubs. Some clubs are violating rules. We need to set up some guidelines for clubs because some of them are doing things they're not supposed to do, and some of them don't know what to do. Access to GRF facilities and room reservations, that should be clarified, and we're working on that. So these are things that will make things a little easier for everybody in the village once we get them set. Thank you. And our next meeting is July 14th at 9:30. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is report of information technology.
Okay. Yes, so the information technology is on our ERP system and the progress of how that is going. They were supposed to meet on June 2nd, but they met on June 9th instead, which was a conflict with the town hall. And so, I'm going to watch the recording. But I can tell you that on April 28th, the meeting before that, we had a presentation by Avantico, which is our consultant who's working on implementing the system. And they're in phase 1, and they're working on various aspects of, the banking and the CRP system and just many aspects working with staff. So it's going along, and the next meeting is to be announced.
I have one question for Azar. For the GRF Finance Committee, I know they were looking at the rental fees and decided that they needed more time to go over that. Is there a plan at the next meeting to roll that out, or do you know when that will be done?
The chair decided to table it for the next time. I have not received anything, and normally we get the package 2-3 days before the meeting. Okay. I will definitely update, and I welcome all of the residents comes if that table comes. I have no idea right now what's going on that project.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Maggie?
That would also come to CAC.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, that concludes our committee assignments, future agenda items. I guess there are none. So at this point, I'm going to call for a recess until we have our closed session, and we'll have our closed session. We'll try and shoot for that about 1 o'clock. So this meeting is in recess. Thank you. It's fastest, yeah.